Hello students, I hope you're doing well. I look forward to meeting you in our Plant Communities of Colorado course. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick tour of the course, and I hope you'll introduce yourselves in the discussion. The homepage for the course is the syllabus, and so you'll see it right here. And if there's new announcements and stuff, they'll also pop up here. Um, so in this course, we're going to learn about the plant communities of Colorado and all the life zones therein. And we're going to work on learning how to identify plants in the field and use a dichotomous key to confirm those identities using Ackerfield. Now, if you have this book already, great. You can have the first or second edition. I have a bunch of first editions that I could share with the class, but it is like the central text that you and everybody else has about the Colorado flora. So it's a good one to have. It's not just like a textbook that you're not going to use again. Now, in this class, we're going to learn together. I have produced many videos, which you'll find in the discussion, and that will be the primary lecture content. But what happens in our online discussion will be the class. And so please come to online discussion. It's a very important part of the class. It's showing up, and it is a big part of your grade as well. And so we're going to look at the life zones within Colorado, the plains, foothills, montane, subalpine, alpine, and riparian life zones. We're going to identify species in each life zone, and we're going to articulate how plant taxonomy explains species relatedness and in a practical sense helps us understand how plants survive in their habitats. And we're going to work together. We're going to build a professional community in our class, and it's going to be fun. And so thank you for joining us. You can see that the course points, they are derived from just a few assignments. Sorry, I saw a little error there. So the assignments are show up for our field trip, which is the weekend of June 23rd to 25th, and come to discussions. There are quizzes about each life zone, and you can take them at any time, and they close on the last day of the class. And so you can take them along the way right after we finish that discussion, or just save them up, whichever you prefer. Then we have a term project. And so this is an essay. It's 1,000 words, and you're going to describe a life zone, which we will have already done in discussion. So you can, reuse your work and cite your peers to fill that out, and it will be cited by peer-reviewed literature as well. We'll talk about that in a sec. And you're going to identify 10 species. And that is the major assignment in the class. And along the way, the discussions will support that. And I will present supplemental readings in discussion, but there won't be any more books or anything like that. So this is a very short course. We have a discussion each week. So we're visiting 2 life zones per week. And so you need to show up. And the first post you make in discussion should be by Wednesday. If you miss this deadline each week, you still need to make the post, because missing the deadline is a point deduction. Missing the post altogether is, a loss of half the points of the discussion. And then you're going to reply to your peers by Saturday. Those discussions won't close till Monday midnight, but I want you, these deadlines have 2-point deductions if you miss them, but by all means do it by Monday midnight. And then after this first week, we'll start the week effectively on Tuesdays, because I like a Monday deadline for last minute questions, but I like people to not have to work all weekend. Now, we will get to know each other, and then we will quickly go on this field trip. And we're gonna go through all the life zones, and I originally had planned that we would go to the top of Independence Pass or Cottonwood Pass in Chaffee County. But then I found out that literally the most knowledgeable Colorado botanist is giving a training at the Betty Ford Alpine Gardens on Wednesday after our field trip. So I really would like to discuss that with you it would be awesome if we could go, but I published the class with the weekend field trip. So let's keep talking about that. And if you want to come to Carol Dawson's training on plant families, I have received a reduced discount for the registration. It's $15 and I will pay for anyone who wants to go. Um, all right, and then we'll get into the second half of the class. We will have already been on our big field trip, right? So the last half of the class, you're really working on that paper. You're deciding which life zone you want to focus on and which 10 species that you want to focus on. And meanwhile, you will have photographed all of those and, encountered them during our field trip. Don't forget to take the quizzes at the end of the class. And so there you have it. And here's all the fancy stuff in the syllabus. All right, so then on our side panel, you'll see there's not too many links, but the discussion is where you want to be whenever you come to class. The due dates for discussion are noted in the title, and you can also see them here, right? This is when it's going to close on a Monday. But this is the Wednesday and Saturday deadlines. We just have 4 discussions. And then in the assignments tab, you're going to find those discussions and the quizzes. And oh, it looks like I need to reorganize this just a tiny bit. Sorry, it's a little confusing, but you'll also see a link to your term project. And so here, let's talk about this. It's 1,000 words. It's really not that many words, but we're going to work hard on making that a quality scientific piece of writing. And so I would like you to cite it with peer-reviewed literature, and we can work on that on the field trip. And then also we have a whole wiki page that describes how you might write this paper. If you've taken my class before, you know that these are actual assignments in the class, but we're not going to do that in this short class. But if you've not ever written a science paper before, I highly recommend you follow this process, and you can submit these things to me and I'll give you feedback. But you want to start with the literature, right? You want to get some quality information before you start writing. And then you want to summarize that literature in the annotated bibliography, and then you've really written the meat of the paper at that point, and you can write an outline. And the outline can be real simple. You could include annotations. It could just be like bullets of what's going to be said in each paragraph. And then write a first draft, right? Do not plan to write this paper on July 8th and submit it on July 9th. Write it in the 3rd week of the class, and then I will give you feedback, and then you can submit it again. And when people do that, they always achieve full credit. And so first draft, plan to submit that by the 3rd week in the class, and then the final draft. And here you'll see the rubric. So the paper is 1,000 words. It has an introduction. It has body paragraphs that talk about the life zones. And then, there's a space where this might break from a written narrative, but you're scoping the species, right? So you might have subheadings that describe each species. And depending on how our learning goes, I'm hoping that you can describe how to find them in Ackerfield. Like, what choices would you have had to make in the dichotomous key to arrive at that species? But you'll be working with species that you know, because we'll be in the field together and we'll be using iNaturalist, which I'll talk about in just a second. The paper needs a conclusion and it needs citations. So even though we will build a lot of knowledge in discussion, we'll build that knowledge with peer-reviewed literature that you can then use in your paper. And that's the whole of this course. Let me talk a bit about iNaturalist. So iNaturalist is a community science tool, and I would really like you to get iNaturalist onto your phone as soon as possible, and create an identity for yourself and share it in the discussion. Because as we move through this online class, you might be out hiking or whatever, taking pictures of flowers. And we can work together with this great community of iNaturalists to identify those flowers and geolocate them, because that's one of the nice features of this app. And you'll read here in the beginning of the discussion stuff that I already said, and you'll find in the discussions that this is where the lecture content is. And so you'll find I've made tons of videos about this stuff. This class is very specifically oriented to my academic and professional interests. So do your best to watch the videos, but the quizzes aren't really about the videos. They're about the information about the life zone. So don't get stressed out. There's probably hours and hours of videos. Just watch them as they enrich your life, right? Not to a point of stress. And there's lectures here from various biology classes I've taken. And, if you want to know more biology, like tell me and I'll talk about that. We can go deeper into the biology. But in this class, we'll really work on plant identification and learning about the life zones. All right, that's all. 11 minutes. Let me know if you have questions. You can email me here in this inbox. I noticed that because I go to the class, right? But I don't check my email that much in the summer. So email me in the classroom or text me. And I'll put my phone number in my own introduction because, it's summer. I am not sitting at my computer if I do not have to. So if you need something from me, text me. All right, thank you so much.